Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Pompeo, thank you, first of all, for your service to our country repeatedly in the Army, in Congress, and now here in this new role. I know we're going to have a closed hearing later today, so the questions I'm about to ask you, I ask that you answer based on open source information available to the general public and also your understanding of the law of war as a graduate of West Point and your service as an officer in the U.S. Army. First of all, your understanding as an officer in the U.S. Army, is military targeting of civilians a violation of the law of war?
Oh, Senator, intentional targeting of civilians is absolutely a violation of the law of war.
Based on open sources and information available to the general public and the conflict in Aleppo, Syria, have Russian forces conducted repeated attacks against civilian targets?
Senator, based on open source reporting, it appears that they have.
Do you believe, based on your knowledge, again, acquired through open sources and your just general knowledge of geopolitics, that Russian military forces could conduct a repeated attack against targets in Aleppo, Syria, without the express direction of Vladimir Putin?
It seems intensely unlikely to me, Senator.
And again, all of the answers you just gave are based on open sources, unclassified?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The second question I have is, and I think you've already said that you accept this as a fact, that there is indeed an effort by Russian intelligence and others associated with the Russian government to conduct a campaign of active measures in the United States designed to sow doubt about the credibility of our elections and our democracy, to sow divisions and chaos in our politics, to undermine the credibility of political leaders and the like. You agree that that assessment, that we are in the throes of an active measures campaign that probably predates this campaign, but it's certainly ratcheted up?
Yes, Senator. It's a long-standing effort of the Russians, and frankly, there are others out there engaged in a similar set of activities. It is something America needs to take seriously and a threat that we are vulnerable to today.
And in fact, it is the exact activity they've undertaken, for example, in Europe and in other countries as well, that we've seen the same sort of pattern in other places, correct?
Yes, Senator, and I'll add to that. We have elections, important elections taking place in the year ahead in Europe and around the world, and we need to be deeply cognizant of all of the foreign actors with malign intent who are attempting to impact those elections as well. And I think the CIA has a role in trying to understand that threat in a deep and fundamental way and sharing that with each and every member of the policymaking community.
Now, again, not asking you to rely on any intelligence or classified information, just in your judgment, as you see the state of American politics and the political discourse, a president-elect who has questioned at times the judgments of our intelligence agencies, opponents to our president-elect who continuously question the legitimacy of his election, the shameful leak in the media regarding unsubstantiated, unsourced information designed to smear the president-elect, the fact that Russia and Vladimir Putin have become a dominant theme in political coverage in this country for the better part of 3 months, if not longer. As you look at all of that, in your personal opinion, is Vladimir Putin and the Russians looking at all this and saying, we've done a really good job of creating chaos, division, instability in the American political process?
Senator, you put a lot into that, but let me try and unpack it just a touch. I certainly want to make sure I talk only about my observations and judgments based on unclassified information,
yes,
but I have no doubt that the discourse that's been taking place is something that Vladimir Putin would look at and say, wow, that was among the objectives that I had, to sow doubt among the American political community, to suggest somehow that American democracy was not unique. I believe it is fundamentally unique and special around the world. It shouldn't surprise any of us at all that the leadership inside of Russia views this as something that might well redound to their benefit.
And my last question involves an area that you may not get asked by anybody else on the committee, you might, but it regards the Western Hemisphere. And I just ask if you will pledge to work within the interagency to ensure that collection and coverage of the Western Hemisphere, and in particular nations like Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Ecuador, Bolivia, that we focus on threats that may emanate from those places.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.